Are you ready now?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
All right, so for this trope video, we are dealing with our anti-heroes. Like, these are the guys nobody would really want, but we still want them. So these are all of our jealous, possessive, over-the-top, crazy anti-heroes. Aren't you excited?
I think everyone's on the edge of their seat.
I am. I love these guys.
Oh, me too. I know. You're saying we wouldn't really want them, and I was thinking that's not true.
I mean, not in everyday life, but in all my books, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay, so
all right.
Before we get started with that,
well, hit that subscribe button so you can possibly win these free books. We're giving away all of these Calla Reed books when we hit 1,500 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button, comment, follow along with us.
Mm-hmm.
Follow us on Instagram for an extra entry.
Yep, do it to it.
Yeah. Free
all
books
right.
on this channel. What more can you want?
I'm telling you what.
Free books is all I want.
What?
I said free books is all I want.
That's all I want too. I also want them to have anti-heroes, which is what we're going to talk about.
Yes, let's just jump right in, Jessica. Anti-hero it up. I'm sure you're going to knock it out of the park with whatever you have first. I need to adjust my camera. Sorry. There. Every time it did you not see it? It looked like I was having an earthquake over here.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you know I've got some great anti-heroes. So
do it.
Before we get started with these books though, definitely check trigger warnings. And I'm going to say probably for all of them, a lot of these are darker and they deal with themes that are harder for some people. So if you have triggers, check your trigger warnings. If you're crazy like me, don't check them at all and just go. But if you have them, please check your trigger warnings because that's being responsible. So, okay, are you ready for my first book?
Yeah.
Are you going to take notes?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Well, let's talk about it. So this one I read at the end, towards the end last year, of the year last year. This is Better Run by Alina May. So this is an MFN. We've got two anti-heroes in this book. This is about Mary Jo, and Mary Jo has herself a stalker, even though I don't think she really realizes that he's a stalker. But Jaden is obsessed with Mary Jo, and he's obsessed with her. It's kind of like an I hate you, so I'm obsessed with you kind of thing. It's not like what you would think, but he decides that he is going to kidnap her and take her to his cabin in the woods. And that's what he does. He takes her to the cabin in the woods. And then you have where Cole steps in. And I just love this part on the back. It says, Jaden brought us a pretty murderous little plaything. I think I'm going to keep it. And that is pretty much the story. I mean, they're in a cabin in the woods. She cannot get away. It is snowing. She's tried to run. She has no shoes. These guys are crazy. And it's really hard for me to explain it, but just trust me on this one. It's not very, very long, and it is just so good. These guys are obviously the epitome of anti-heroes because they're not good boys. They're not good guys, but you still want them to get the girl, and you still want it to work out. So there you have it. Okay. All right. What do you got?
Okay, I have Blackwood by Celia Aaron.
Ooh, I love Celia Aaron.
Yeah. All right, so we have Elsie, and Elsie is trying to find her dad. He mysteriously disappeared, and she believes that there are answers up on the Blackwood estate out in the forest somewhere. So for her graduate work, she is, I think it's archaeology. And so she gets her graduate work program thing is to go do this dig. And she forges Garrett's paperwork saying that he approves of her doing this. And she basically sneaks out there and starts digging around trying to find information on what happened to her dad. And she gets attacked by a wild boar, brutally attacked. And Garrett ends up finding her and he takes her back and doesn't really want her there, but he doesn't want her to leave either. He is definitely an anti-hero who turns touch her and die possessive of her, but it's his property her dad went missing on.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
What secrets is he hiding?
I already know.
Did you read
If you're,
this one?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you had.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can't wait. We're gonna meet her in Seattle, and I'm so excited. I keep checking for her pre-order.
Mm.
And for Rain City, she doesn't have it up yet. Okay, so for my next book, it's another MFM, but again, they're obviously they're anti-heroes. They're not the best guys, so but you still want them to get the girl. So that is Slash or Pass by Tyler Page, and this is about Isley. Isley was abducted when she was small, and she was around the age of 11. For several years, she'd been held in this room, this cage. Basically, it wasn't a cage, but it was a room that was they couldn't get out of it, no windows, nothing. And she was in there with these two little boys who were the exact same age, and that was Kansas and Constantine. And they are being held there by this cult, this group of these cult people. And when she got her period at the age of 11, they drag these three kids. They're not the only kids that are being kept there either. They drag these three kids out of the room, and they tell her she has to choose. She has to marry one, and then the one she doesn't choose will be killed. And so only one gets to live. And so when this situation happens, one of the boys creates a distraction after the marriage happens, and she and the other boy run off. And then we fast forward a handful of years later. They have it. The place burned down. Everybody was killed, and she believes that Constantine was killed that day. He never came out. She and Kansas got away, and her and Constantine were there. And Constantine was left behind. And so she has a lot of guilt about that now that she's an adult. But one day she turns on the news, and there is Constantine, and he's like, I'm back, and I'm back for my wife. Because they were married when they were 11. And so this is the story. They're the three of them, their story. It is, oh my gosh, it's got like the whole cult aspect. All of these books, this is the beginning of a series. And all of these books in these series are, I can see you, are, I said I could see you.
Sorry.
They're,
Oh.
they're all based on slasher flicks, like horror movies. I think this one is based on Scream, if I am not mistaken, because there is some mask stuff happening here. But these boys do some things that just, I mean, they're over the top, they're possessive, but they're very dark. A lot of dark things happen in this book, and they're not always the nicest to her while trying to get her to do things they need her to do, or to discover things they need her to discover. So yeah, I need to continue on with the series. It was so good. This book was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Okay, what you got next?
Next, I have Vandal by Carrie Ann Cole.
Okay.
So when I think about anti-heroes, Vandal definitely pops up. He's like an anti-hero jerk at times. Before I start talking about this book, though, I do want to point out there is an author's note that I highly encourage you to read before you proceed with reading this book, because even though we did talk about checking triggers, there's something pretty specific in here that you may wish to know before you start reading this book that wouldn't typically be covered in dark romance triggers. All right, I'm going to read the back because I thought about how to talk about this book without giving things away, and I couldn't really come up with how I wanted to do it. So I decided Carrie Ann Cole did it already for me. She did it the best with her blurb on the back that truly describes this book. So I'm going to read that to you. Normally we don't do that, but for this one I'm going to. So it says, "She takes my breath away. She's so beautifully damaged, a mirror of my own tortured soul. I was powerless to stay away from her. I was responsible for all the pain and grief that brought her to her knees in front of me. Broken, hopeless, reckless in her agony. But what I took away, I can give back in ways she cannot even begin to imagine. ways that I cannot stop thinking about. Together, we spun a tangled web of lust and need, power and submission, and dare I say, trust and love. We're everything right and all our wrongs. We found redemption. We found happiness, a chance for a new beginning. But she has no idea I'm the one who destroyed her life. So that is Vandal, our anti-hero.
Okay. Yeah, he did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I don't think this video would be complete without a Lauren Beale book. Because nobody does anti-heroes like Lauren Beale. So let's talk about her latest release, which is quite the ride, let me tell you. So that is Across State Lines, again, by Lauren Beale. This released at the end of March, early April, if I remember right. And this is about Aurora. So she is a college dropout. She's dropped out of college because something traumatic happened to her while she was at college. She was in college in California, I believe, and her parents live like in New York. So they live across the country, and she has very judgmental parents, and she hasn't told them that she dropped out of college, but she's trying to make her way back home. She doesn't have a lot of money. Things are not great. So she is going from trucker to trucker and truck stop to truck stop, and she has become a lot lizard. So she sells her body to the truckers. And that is where we meet Kane. Kane is our long haul trucker, and he has DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, or what we used to call multiple personalities. And he is also a serial unaliver. And he picks her up one day and decides that instead of taking care of her, he's going to sell her to these guys who deal in that situation. And so they start heading from wherever they're at towards Texas. And you never know what's going to happen, because you never know which personality is going to come out. One of them is sweet, one of them is twisted, but nobody is as twisted as Kane and as hateful as Kane. And so that's you can always count on Lauren Beale for a good anti-hero book. But the thing is, you don't want to root for these guys, but oh my gosh, the things that happen in this one, you're like, I don't think I could do that. But you are rooting for them. So definitely check triggers for this book.
We could do a road trip video.
What?
A road trip video. A lot of Lauren Beale's books are road trips. So people would come to the video thinking, oh, fun, a summer road trip.
And I promise you guys, if we ever do a road trip video, I'm going to be like, so here's this dark book. Okay.
All right. I am going to change things up a little bit, and I didn't talk to you about this first, so maybe I should have. Sorry.
Okay.
Instead of an anti-hero, I have an anti-heroine.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. Hold on. Let me do this. Let's talk about it. Not me, though. You.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. All right.
I really want to make a joke about how you won't even give me my turn on screen. Okay.
Okay.
So it's been a hot minute since we've talked about this series. So I'm bringing back to everyone's attention here, if they've not read it yet, the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. When I was thinking about anti-heroes, I was like, a serial unaliver. Like, how is that not anti-hero? But yet you find yourself rooting for her. So she's our anti-heroine. There's definitely obsessive possessive vibes in this book as well. So we have Lana. She is a serial unaliver. But do I dare say she has a reason for it? Like, when you start to hear her story, oh my gosh. So this is a 5-book series. And it is, oh my gosh, I'm just like repeating myself because it's just so good. We have Lana, and she meets Logan, and Logan works for the FBI. And guess what he does? You're right. He hunts down serial killers. Is that okay for me to say that?
Yep.
Or do I have to keep saying unaliver?
I think you're okay once or twice. I think it's if we keep doing it a lot, then it's going to be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they happen to meet one day for coffee, and they don't know who each other are right in that moment. He definitely doesn't know who she is. She kind of figures out that he works for the FBI, but yet they're greatly attracted to each other and they start a relationship. So, how the heck is that going to work out when you have her still actively doing her hobby and he's actively pursuing her unbeknownst to him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, that is our anti heroine rec for the anti hero video.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys haven't read that series, I highly suggest reading it. All the books, there's 5 books. They're all smaller. They're short, but they're so like there's nothing to compare to that.
Yeah, it's so good. And I didn't
Mhm.
give a lot of detail because really all you need to know is
Yeah.
that what she does and that he works for the FBI
Mhm.
hunting people like her down.
Yeah, and he's on her case. So it's just so good, and like you want the all of the revelations to come as you're reading it. It just there's nothing to compare to that.
Nothing.
Oh, yeah. All right. So for my next book, this is one that I love. I haven't talked a lot about it except for maybe like one other video, but we're going to talk about it here. It is a BJ Alpha book. Are you shocked? So this is Veiled in Hate by BJ Alpha. This is an arranged marriage mafia romance. This is with Luca and Camille. Both of them are from rival mafia families. The families have been at war with each other for quite a long time. And Luca has been leading that war. And he thinks that Camille's brother, I think it's her twin brother, murdered his sister, which is what started the war. And so they hate each other with a passion. She hates Luca because he started this war that has murdered many of her family members, and he hates Camille because she's the sister to the guy who murdered his sister. And so the dawns of each family come together and they're like, we are done with this war, we are over it, and so in order to stop it, we're going to force a marriage between you two. And that is what happens. And Luca is so cruel and he is so cold and he's just mean, and him and Camille don't get along at first, but eventually you can see the softer side of Camille, and she's trying, but he is still being a douche canoe. And like he's like, I will never have a child with her because I will never taint my bloodline with hers, and just horrible, cruel things. And so I just I love their story. I love the hate that is in this story. I love how cruel Luca is. We first meet him in a different book, but you don't have to read that book. But from the get-go, I knew that I needed Luca's book. So I love their story so much. Okay. What else you got?
Okay, my next book is Dark Russian Angel by Odette Stone.
Mm-hmm. Good one.
So we have Olivia, and Olivia sees something that she's not supposed to see go down, a murder, by some not so great crime lords in Vancouver. And so the police put her into their idea of a witness protection program, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that great, and the bad guys like find her, and she ends up like scaling off the side of the house, jumping off the roof basically to go run. And Andrusha is there watching kind of what's folding because he's trying to figure out what these other crime bosses are doing, because he's also a mafia man from Russia, living in Vancouver. And he sees her climb out of the house, and he picks her up and talks to her and finds out like what's going on. He realizes the police are not going to be able to keep her safe. So he agrees for her to stay with him so he can keep her safe. But he's a crime lord too. So is she really safe with him? Like, is this really the best option? I don't know. Loved this book. there's some angst in it. It's emotional. I got emotional during it. I'm sure you didn't, Jessica, but I did. And so Andrusha is going to try and keep her safe, hopefully. But Olivia really she has no one else to trust. She has to put her life into his hands, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a bad guy too, though, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So for my last recommendation, I have one that's crazy. He's crazy, but we love him anyway. And that is Possessing Eden by Izzy Sweet and Sean Moriarty. So let's talk about them, this couple. So this is the 7th book in their Disciple series. And you can read it as a standalone. Just knowing that it's a mafia, that's all you really need to know going into it. You don't have to have read the Disciple series before, or the other books in the Disciple series. But this is about Eden and Jude. Jude is crazy. He is over the top, absolutely certifiably insane. And you have Eden. She is a young mom to, I believe the baby was 9 months old. And yeah, 9 months old. And she is in an abusive relationship with the baby's father, and he won't give her any money for the baby's needs, and he abuses her. And so she runs. She leaves him and she runs. There's ties here and there to other organizations, but she goes to her uncle. So her dad was also part of the mafia. He wasn't very high. Her uncle runs their mafia, but her dad had been killed on a job for her uncle. And so she goes to her uncle, who is he's like a sleazy mafia kind of guy. He's like, little mafia man. And she goes to him and she's looking for a job. She's looking for help. She just needs some help. And so he gives her a job, but the job is to spy on these boys that are part of the Disciples. There's somebody who wants information on them. And so that is what she does. She goes to work at a nightclub to try to get information on these guys. When that happens, when she finally sees them, that is when Jude sees her. And that is when Jude decides that she's his. She's his. He may take her from her home. He may unalive people just for, touching her the wrong way, but she's his. And so's the baby. And now he wants another one. But that is his wife. And that is his woman and his baby. And nobody can argue otherwise. She's his. Done. I love his crazy. And the way he wants her and her baby, I loved it. This is my favorite in the Disciple series. Okay, what do you got then?
I have forgot the name of the book. I have Darkest Secrets by Neva Altai. This is the latest book number 9 in the Perfectly Imperfect series. Any of those books would easily fit into this video, but I'm going to go with this one because currently it is my favorite one out of the series. So we have Nara and Kai. And Nara finds Kai one night. She is in the mafia world and she has been granted permission from her dad to live her life for a few years. She was in veterinarian school and she works as a vet tech helper at a veterinarian clinic. And one night when she's leaving, she finds Kai staggering down the road, about to pass out from blood loss. And even though she's grown up in the mafia world and knows this is a really bad idea, she's just drawn to him. And she goes and picks him up and takes him back to her vet clinic where she helps him and patches him up because he refuses to go to the hospital. And Kai then becomes very infatuated with her. Kai is a hitman for the mafia family that he works for, and Nara's family is different from that mafia family. So they don't know each other. And so they continue to kind of meet up randomly because Kai, he starts to become very obsessed with her. But again, he's a hitman, and so he believes that he's too good for her. He himself believes that he is the anti-hero in his own story, which is heartbreaking. This is a slow burn, but it is so, so good. Like, I love the twist on the fact that he realizes, like, a lot of the mafia stories that we read, the mafia men know they're the bad guy and they don't really give a crap, and they're like, my woman I take, which you love.
I do.
But I love the different take where he's like, I'm like obsessed with her, and he does some adorable things
Mhm.
to take care of her. But he realizes, like, I mean, he realizes he's like the anti-hero. And so he tries to stay away from her and remain in the shadows, which really just makes the whole situation worse. And oh, so incredibly good. So go read the whole series if you have not, like, and then you can just
Mhm.
send me a thank you note later.
Oh,
You're welcome.
yeah.
Hey,
All right.
our anti-heroes, obsessive, possessive, with an anti-heroine.
Yeah. That's it. All right. Go add those to your TBR.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us, and also have that notification turned on because we like to drop extra videos during the week sometimes. So you don't want to miss out. Follow us on Instagram and leave us some comments. What are your thoughts on the anti-hero, the
Mhm.
obsessive possessive? Is this your cup of tea? Did we miss somebody in this video that you think belongs here? We do have other obsessive possessive videos, just an FYI.
Mhm.
But is there somebody missing that we need to go read? Let
Yeah.
us know.
Exactly. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.